Well, you know I stay in the wilderness, stay in the wilderness, stay in the wilderness till I die. Oh Lord, stay in the wilderness, in the wilderness, stay in the wilderness till I die. Lord, you know I'm on in the wilderness, moan in the wilderness, moan in the wilderness till I die. Oh yes, oh Lord, wilderness. Oh yes, in the wilderness. Oh, in the wilderness till I die.
Well, then I stay
In the wilderness,
in the wilderness,
in the wilderness,
stay
in the wilderness,
in the wilderness,
in the wilderness,
stay
in the wilderness,
in the wilderness
in the
till I
wilderness,
die.
in the wilderness,
Oh Lord,
in the wilderness,
stay
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
stay
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
stay
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness,
die.
till I
Well, then I'm
die.
born
In the
in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness,
the wilderness,
mold
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
mold
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness, in the
die. Oh
wilderness,
Lord,
in the wilderness, in the
mold in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness,
the wilderness,
mold
in the
in the
wilderness, in
wilderness,
the wilderness,
mold
in the
in the
wilderness, in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness,
die.
till I
Well, yes, I
die.
preach
In the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
preach
Lord, in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
preach
in the wilderness,
in the
in
wilderness
the
till
wilderness,
I die.
in the
Oh
wilderness,
yeah,
in the
then I
wilderness,
preach
in the wilderness,
in the
in
wilderness,
the wilderness,
preach
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
preach
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness till I
wilderness,
die.
till I
Well, then I
die.
sing
In the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness, Lord,
sing
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
sing
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness,
die.
in the
Oh
wilderness,
Lord, then I
Lord,
sing
in the wilderness,
in the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
sing
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
sing
in the wilderness,
in the
in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness,
die.
till I
Yeah, I'm gonna
die.
stay
In the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
stay
Lord, in the
in
wilderness,
the
in the
wilderness,
wilderness,
stay
in the
in
wilderness,
the
in
wilderness
the
till I
wilderness,
die.
in the
Oh
wilderness,
Lord,
in the
then
wilderness,
I stay
Lord, in the wilderness,
in the
in
wilderness,
the wilderness,